The night air over Yuban Royal Thai Air Base still carried the damp chill of the monsoon season. Floodlights cast long shadows across the concrete as ground crews moved quickly, their voices low, their boots echoing in the dark. Somewhere in the distance, a jet engine coughed to life, then settled into a steady, menacing growl. Captain Robert Hawk Miller climbed the ladder into the cockpit of his F-2 Phantom II, the metal cold beneath his gloves. He paused for a moment, looking out over the airfield. He had flown dozens of missions over North Vietnam, yet tonight felt different. Not worse. Just heavier. Behind him, Lieutenant James Carter slid into the rear seat, already focused on the radar scope. Green light washed across his face as the system powered up, the sweeping line cutting through darkness like a searching eye. You seeing anything strange? Hawk asked over the intercom. Not yet, Carter replied. But the sky's crowded tonight. Radio chatter filled their helmets' call signs, headings, weather reports. Somewhere ahead, strike aircraft were already airborne, lumbering north toward Hanoi. The Phantom's job was to keep them alive. Phantom flight, cleared for takeoff, came the tower's voice. Afterburners ignited. The aircraft surged forward, pressing Hawk back into his seat as the runway disappeared beneath them. Within seconds, the Phantom was climbing hard, piercing the low clouds and vanishing into black sky. Far to the north, at Phuoc Yen Air Base, Lieutenant Nguyen Van Hoa fastened his helmet strap as his MiG-21 sat trembling on the runway. The feedback was small, fast, and unforgiving. No excess fuel. No room for mistakes. Just speed and faith in surprise. A ground controller's voice crackled in his headset. Enemy aircraft approaching from the southwest. Stand by. Hoa exhaled slowly. He had been taught that American fighters were powerful but clumsy big machines that relied on sight. If he stayed hidden, if he struck first, he would live. His MiG leapt into the sky, climbing steeply, guided by voices he could not see high above the clouds. Carter's radar screen bloomed with faint returns. Contact, he said, leaning forward. Bearing 085. Range, 50 miles. Hawk frowned. That's MiG territory. Multiple bogies. They're coming up fast. The Phantom adjusted course, invisible to the men below. The Americans did not fire. Not yet. They watched in the MiG cockpit. Hoa scanned the sky. Nothing. Just clouds and the pale curve of the horizon. His own radar showed silence. Ground control. Confirmed target distance, he asked. A pause followed. Too long. Targets. Uncertain. Continue climb. A ripple of unease ran through him. The enemy should have been closer by now. Suddenly, Carter's voice sharpened. They're maneuvering. They know something's wrong. The clouds broke apart in violent sunlight. Visual. Hawk shouted. The sky erupted. MiGs punched through the clouds, afterburners blazing, turning hard toward the American formation. Missiles streaked away, white smoke spiraling behind them. Cannon fire flashed like camera strobes. Hoa caught sight of the Phantom larger than he imagined, already rolling toward him. How did they find us? He whispered, a missile warning screamed in his ears. He yanked the stick, the MiG shuddering as a Sparrow missile tore past his canopy, close enough to rattle the airframe. Breathing hard, he dove back into cloud, heart pounding. Above him, Hawk fought to keep sight of everything at once: fuel, speed, enemy positions. Carter called out ranges and bearings, his voice steady despite the chaos. One MiG vanished in a fireball. Another slipped away untouched. Within minutes, it was over. The survivors scattered, low on fuel, nerves frayed. The Phantoms turned south, damaged but airborne. Below them, the sky closed again, hiding its secrets. Back at Phuoc Yen, Hoa landed in silence. He removed his helmet slowly, hands still trembling. For the first time, doubt replaced confidence. Somewhere in the darkness, the enemy had seen him long before he ever saw them.
Dawn arrived slowly, revealing what the night had hidden. Smoke drifted over Baghdad in long, black columns, curling into a sky that looked calm, almost indifferent. Burned-out rail cars lay twisted along the tracks. Oil still burned in shallow pools, sending heat shimmering into the morning air. Lieutenant Hassan walked through the bunker one last time, stepping over fallen cables and cracked concrete. The radar screens were dark now, silent. Mechanics spoke in low voices, arguing over angles, frequencies, calibration, anything that might explain the impossible. Hassan said nothing. He already knew the truth. The machine had worked. The world had changed. Across the desert, the American bombers returned one by one, their tires screeching against the runway as the sun climbed behind them. Ground crews rushed forward, counting holes in fuselages that weren't there, touching metal that had somehow passed unseen through enemy defenses. Captain Mason climbed down from his aircraft and removed his helmet. His face showed no triumph. They never knew we were there, a young crewman said quietly. Mason nodded, then looked away. That's what scares me. Debriefings followed in windowless rooms. Officers spoke of success, of strategic impact, of how the mission proved that future wars would be decided before the enemy ever saw the attacker. Charts were drawn. Reports stamped and locked away. No one mentioned the fires. Back in Baghdad, funerals passed through narrow streets. Soldiers stood guard beside shattered buildings, their rifles useless against memories of a sky that had betrayed them. Hassan submitted his resignation days later. He could no longer trust what his eyes could not see, or what his instruments refused to reveal. He spent his nights listening to the distant hum of aircraft, any aircraft waiting for a sound that might never come. Weeks turned into months. The war elsewhere grew louder, bloodier, more visible. Tanks rolled across Europe. Cities fell. Flags were raised and torn down. When the war finally ended, celebrations filled streets across the world. Baghdad remained quiet. Captain Mason survived the war, but the mission followed him home. Years later, he would still remember the way the city burned in silence, how victory had felt hollow when the enemy had no chance to fight back. History would speak of innovation, of progress, of the dawn of a new age in warfare. It would praise technology that bent the rules of battle and rewrote what was possible. But for the men who watched the sky on both sides, there was another lesson. War does not only destroy what it touches, it destroys certainty. It erases the line between courage and helplessness, and when the enemy becomes invisible, the cost of war is paid long after the bombs stop falling.